Hey there everyone, I'm going to show you how to flush your cooling system and replace the upper and lower radiator hoses on this 2016 Chevrolet Spark before this happens to you. A overheating vehicle is the last thing anyone wants to deal with, but with a little bit of proper maintenance, this can be avoided. I'll go ahead and get started. First, I'll start by raising the vehicle at the front and the rear and supporting it on jack stands at all four corners so I can gain access to the underneath of the vehicle to be able to drain the cooling system. This will also ensure the vehicle is level so that when I refill the cooling system, the coolant level will be accurate. It is recommended that you flush your cooling system every 3 to 5 years or between 30 and 50,000 miles. There are some coolants that say they can go up to 10 to 15 years or 100 to 300,000 miles, but I wouldn't push a vehicle that far. As coolant ages, the properties begin to break down and it loses its efficiency to be able to cool and keep the engine from freezing. Also, as it ages, it can become conductive and cause electrical issues. Now, with the vehicle level and supported at all four corners on jack stands, I will go ahead and give the vehicle a good shake to make sure it is stable. Then, I will release the hood and use the hood prop to support the hood. Now, I will go ahead and locate the radiator cap. This cooling system is known as a closed system, and the cap will be on the expansion tank. This system does not use the traditional overflow tank as found on vehicles with the cap on the actual radiator. With the system cool, I will go ahead and remove the cap from the expansion tank. Never open this cap if the cooling system is hot. Now I will go underneath and remove the splash shield from the front of the vehicle to gain access to the bottom of the radiator and the lower radiator hose. To remove the splash shield on this vehicle, it takes a 10mm and a 7mm socket to remove the 7 bolts that hold it in place. With the splash shield removed, I can go ahead and get a good look at everything, and I will go ahead and move over to the right hand side of the vehicle where there is supposed to be a petcock at the bottom of the radiator to drain the coolant, according to the repair manual located here. However, this radiator is not equipped with one, as some will have them and some will not. So I will remove the lower radiator hose from the bottom of the radiator to be able to drain the cooling system. I will go ahead and slide my catch pan for the coolant underneath, and I'll use a pair of channel locks to remove the spring style hose clamp. With the hose clamp removed, I can go ahead and wiggle the hose off of the plastic nipple, and being careful not to make a mess when the coolant starts to drain. After I let the coolant drain, I went ahead and took a sample of it, and I'm going to use a hydrometer to measure its efficiency. You can also use what is called a refractometer to do the same thing. However, the hydrometer is less expensive and they both have very accurate readings. As you can see here, this coolant measures really good. It's showing protection down to -45 degrees, and if I flip it around, it's going to show protection to the boiling point of 265 degrees. However, this coolant has been in the vehicle for about 5 years and it's time to change it. I'll be using this type of coolant because it's made for all makes and models of vehicles. If you're unsure what coolant type your vehicle takes, consult your owner's manual. Now, I will test the new coolant against the old coolant to see what our readings are. And we are about the same, maybe a little higher on this one, to about -50. And if I flip it around to the back, it's going to show 265 degrees. So this coolant is in good shape at a 50-50 mix. Now, I will slide the lower radiator hose back on the plastic nipple on the radiator so I can fill the system back up with fresh coolant. As I fill the system with fresh coolant, the coolant will displace the air in the system and force it to the top of the expansion tank. So as I fill, the level will go down until it has reached its maximum capacity. Then the level will stay steady in the expansion tank. Now I will go ahead and start the vehicle to let the water pump push the coolant around and displace any air that may still be trapped in the system. And I will go ahead and top off the expansion tank. Do note there is a bleeder screw on the radiator on the driver's side located at the top to let any air out of the system that may be trapped during the bleeding process. Now I will go ahead and reinstall the cap to build pressure and to bring the cooling system up to temp. Once inside the vehicle, I will go ahead and turn the heat on to max. And hold the accelerator down to about 2500 RPM. While doing this, I want to make sure that the radiator fan goes through at least 2 on and off cycles. This will ensure that the thermostat has opened and I have coolant flow through the upper and lower radiator hoses. To confirm this, you can touch them with your hand and they should feel very hot to the touch. After that, I will go ahead and shut the engine off and pull the lower radiator hose to drain the coolant. Do note the coolant will be extremely hot, so be very careful and use caution. Now I will take another sample and compare it to the new coolant. As you can see, the color is steadily getting better, and I will go ahead and do a second flush. This will be the same procedure as the first time around. And I went ahead and collected another sample, and as you can see, the color is still steadily getting better. Remember, we started out with a yellowish brown, and now this is the fourth sample that I've taken, and as you can see, it's really close to the color of the new coolant. So this confirms that I've got all the old coolant out of the system and nothing but new is in there now. Before I do the final refill, I'm going to go ahead and replace the upper and lower radiator hoses along with new clamps. This is the perfect time to do it, being that the cooling system is empty. And these hoses are about 10 years old, so it's time to replace them. I'm going to go ahead and start with the upper radiator hose first. I went ahead and removed the clamp that is on the radiator, but I had to remove the fill neck for the washer solvent tank in order to gain access to it. Now I will go ahead and use my channel locks to remove the spring clamp that holds the hose on to the thermostat housing nipple. With it removed, I can go ahead and slide the whole hose out of the engine bay. With the old hose laying next to the new one, I can confirm that it is the same size and same length. With OEM replacement hoses, it shows you which side goes to the engine and which side goes to the radiator, and has a marking where your new hose clamps should go. To help aid installing the new hoses, I will use a little bit of coolant as lubrication to help slide them on to the nipples. Then I'll do the same procedure with the lower radiator hose. As you can see here on the nipple on the water pump, this is where your hose clamp should go in between the two grooves to ensure that the hose will stay intact and won't leak or slip off. The grooves are on the thermostat housing, water pump, and radiator nipples. As you can see here, the clamp is in the correct position. I went ahead and installed the lower radiator hose off camera due to tight tolerances. Now it's time for the final refill. Then I will install the cap, start the vehicle, and turn the heat on to max. And hold the accelerator down to about 2,500 RPMs. Then make sure the fan goes through at least 2 on and off cycles. During this time, I will go ahead and inspect for any leaks. Then I will inspect the expansion tank one more time to make sure the coolant is at the proper level. Then shut the engine off and reinstall the splash shield, as I've done here. Now it's time to take the vehicle down off of the jack stands. Then I'll take one more final look to make sure everything is in place, and then I will close the hood. And job well done. And remember, if you like videos like this and want to see more, hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And as always, thanks for watching.